Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, we're going to react to the Virginia hot air balloon tragedy. There's so many things that have happened, like events like this that you never hear of. Like, I suppose, unless you lived in Virginia, unless this was a national story in America that was covered by mainstream media, even then, I probably wouldn't have heard of it because I don't live in America. So unless you're really local to the area or, you have an interest in hot air balloons, you would never find a story like this.
May the 9th, 2014, should have been a day of celebration and fun on the opening day of a ballooning festival in Doswell, Virginia. Instead, a horror accident would claim the lives of two talented sportswomen and their pilot in one of the most horrific ways possible.
Oh my God, it blew
It was
up.
the most horrific thing I've ever witnessed. You could hear them screaming, "Please, dear God, sweet Jesus, help us. We're going to die. Oh my God, please help us."
The 9th of May through to the 11th was to be the inaugural Mid-Atlantic Balloon Festival, hosted at Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia. Along with music, local food stands and other family activities, 13 balloons in various shapes and colours would take event goers high above the rolling hills, forests, and the vast farmlands of East Virginia. Described as genuinely happy people by University of Richmond Spiders basketball player Liv Healy, 44-year-old Jenny Doyle was the associate women's basketball coach, while 24-year-old Natalie Lewis was the director of basketball operations. Both had previously attended the school before joining the staff. They always seemed to enjoy everything about the university and life in general. On the morning of May the 9th, 2014, Jenny Doyle, Natalie Lewis, and Richmond Spiders head basketball coach Michael Schaefer attended the Mid-Atlantic Balloon Festival. A chilling series of early morning tweets by Jenny Doyle read, "Getting ready to go up in a hot air balloon today," followed a short time later by a second tweet. "Tried it at 6:30 a.m. but was too foggy. We'll go up this evening." The tweet linking to her Instagram post, showing her and Natalie in a different balloon with a different pilot to the one they would later fly with. Perhaps a chilling foreshadow with the picture captioned #anxiety.
Oh my God.
Back for their flight that evening, Jenny and Natalie were to go up in one balloon, while their friend and head basketball coach Michael would go up in another. Piloting the girls was 65-year-old Army veteran Daniel Kirk. Described by those who know him as a cautious pilot, he had over 30 years' experience in the industry and more than 660 hours of flight time.
So this is someone that you could trust, he knew what he was doing, loads of experience, didn't take chances.
He was, to say the least, highly experienced. His balloon, an Eagle C7, had a wood and woven wicker basket, outfitted with padded seating and rope handles for passengers, and had accumulated 270 hours in service. Within the confines were 2 aluminum propane tanks and fuel lines running to the burner. Poised above was an envelope made of Nomex and nylon panels. Having passed its inspection the year before, although it met all safety regulations, the combination of wood, propane and nylon was about to come into disastrous effect.
Oh man.
Lifting off from Meadow Event Park in Doswell just before 7, captured here in a photograph by an onlooker, Jenny and Natalie are unaware this was to be their final 40 minutes alive. With favourable winds ranging from 6 to 12 knots and visibility beyond 10 miles, they would spend time at altitude, then head to a pre-approved landing spot around 4 miles to the northeast. As one of the 3 balloons flying together that night, the first 2 landed safely in a field near Rubber Glen. However, in a scenario all too common among balloon tragedies, the pilot of Natalie and Jenny's balloon had failed to notice the 30-foot-high electrical power lines partly hidden behind the trees.
No.
Although the pilot engaged the burner in an attempt to climb above, the balloon struck
Too
the power
late.
lines and sparks from the collision immediately engulfed the basket in flames. One eyewitness in a disturbing video posted online is heard saying, "Oh God, they're on fire, the people are." After the collision, the pilot opened the top of the balloon to release the hot air in an attempt to land, all while onlookers watched in horror. Sadly though, the additional hot air from the fire caused the balloon to soar skywards, before the basket eventually broke free, plummeting toward the ground and landing somewhere in the distance.
Oh my God, if they were still alive at that point, just them falling from the sky in that basket while it's on fire, terrifying.
While the envelope kept on flying.
It was the most horrific thing I've ever witnessed. You could hear them screaming, "Please, dear God, sweet Jesus, help us. We're going to die. Oh my God, please help us."
Oh my God.
The day following the accident, search crews found the body of Ginny Doyle and pilot Daniel Kirk around 1,500 yards apart, while the body of Natalie Lewis was found later. The investigation was handled by the NTSB, or the National Transportation Safety Board, and the wreckage from the balloon, comprising several pieces of charred material, equipment, and basket, was strewn from the accident site across 5 miles in a northeasterly direction. However, the envelope that had flown off so far remained unfound. The autopsies on the victims concluded Ginny Doyle and pilot Daniel Kirk died from blunt force trauma, either having jumped or fallen from the basket. While more disturbingly, Natalie Lewis had died from the fire. Toxicology samples were taken from the pilot for testing. 2 years earlier, a similar accident occurred in Carterton, New Zealand, when a hot air balloon collided with a power line. All 11.
So it seems like the pilot, you've got to be like watching the horizon like a hawk, just to scan for any kind of obstructions. You can't sort of be having conversations with the people on board. You've literally just got to be scanning everywhere.
And people on board perished after it too caught fire and climbed into the sky before falling back to Earth. In that case, the pilot had taken illicit substances that may have contributed to the accident. However, in the Doswell case, along with no alcohol in his system, the toxicology reports showed the pilot was taking an Allegra, an antihistamine, along with medication for high blood pressure. However, the NTSB said there was no indication those medications contributed to the accident. It would be a full 17 days after the accident that the envelope was discovered by a kayaker on the Mataponi River, roughly 6 miles from the collision site. First believing it was the cover to a swimming pool, when they saw the bright colours, they realised what they had found. Investigators, having retrieved now almost all the hot air balloon, through tests and examination, found no deficiencies or maintenance issues which could have caused the accident.
So everything was above board and in working order.
The NTSB determined the probable cause of the accident was the pilot's inadequate approach and his failure to maintain clearance from the power lines, which resulted in a subsequent fire. The NTSB said the pilot likely identified the power lines late in the approach and ignited the burner to climb, but there was insufficient time to clear the power lines. According to the NTSB, it was the first fatal hot air ballooning accident in Virginian history. However, other pilots flying that day claimed the power lines were not marked on the maps they were given. Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe confirmed this based on his conversations with state police. They believe it was flying low and it hit the power line, and apparently it wasn't on the map the pilot was looking at.
So, that's their responsibility then, isn't it?
Randy Lee, a balloon pilot who was at the event that day, said it's common for residential power lines not to appear on maps handed to the pilots. I'm speaking to you as a pilot. We are responsible for obstacle avoidance. Lee also said that while the landing area may have been the intended destination, landing there would not have been guaranteed. In ballooning, there's no designated landing area. Let me know your thoughts on this accident. If you found value in watching, I'd love it if you...
Sad story. Maybe the pilot should have seen it, seen those power lines, but I think if the power lines were on the map, he would have known and been able to plan to avoid them. So I kind of have sympathy for him there. At the end of the day, he probably got that map thinking that, every potential obstacle has been labelled. I know what I need to avoid. The guy had 30 years of experience. He always had a sort of like take no chances approach to flying his balloon. So it leads me to believe that had he known the power line was there, it would have been avoided. So there's sympathy for him there in that regard. But at the same time, based on the other pilot, Randy, saying that, at the end of the day, it's the pilot's responsibility to find and avoid obstacles. there's two, schools of thought here. Like, what do you guys think? Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.